our newest episode of the Marvel Fans United podcast. So I'm Kirk Deveyck, the president of all Marvel fans, never forget it. And I also have my main girl, Angie. I'm going to let her present herself.
Hi everyone, Angie here.
And we have a special guest tonight, the lovely Millicent. I'm going to let her present herself also.
Hi, I'm Millicent. I work in film and games industry. I met Kirk because I used to be a journalist and I interviewed him for Marvel Fans United. Big fan.
Yes, she did my first interview, guys.
We're so happy to have you with us here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very honored to be invited.
She's awesome. So please follow her on her Twitter, and I'll put it in the link on the description on YouTube. And it's what's your Twitter name again?
It's at Millicent Games.
Yes, send her a lot of messages, a lot of love, and retweet all of her posts, okay? All right, so today we're going to talk about this new show that's on Disney Plus, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, that little tiny series that no one watches.
Yeah, this little thing that just came out, you know. And we're not live for the first episode. It was my fault, but now we're back. We're going to do every Friday. We're going to have a new episode. So today we're going to talk about episode 2. All right. So ladies, what do you guys think in general of the show so far? What do you guys think of the show?
Millicent, let's take it with you. Your first thoughts and reactions before getting into the spoiler.
First reactions. So I watched both episodes back to back because I was just very busy the first week, guys. So I watched them both last night, kind of like a feature-length film then. I found the first episode, I was quite surprised. I thought it was a little bit slow for me. I don't know if that's because we were maybe spoiled with the wackiness and straight in of kind of like WandaVision a few months back. But first episode I found a little bit slow, but I get that we were like establishing where everyone is at now after Endgame. But the second episode has got me like really hyped. I'm like really excited now to see what happens because like there's so many little seeds that are being planted and things I don't know about because Falcon and Winter Soldier is very much my maybe blind spot in terms of Marvel lore and stuff. So yeah, it's got me excited now. I'll say that.
What do you think, Angie? What did you have?
Okay, for me, actually, last week when I watched the premiere of the first episode, so when I first watched it, okay, of course, I loved it. I was so happy to see these characters again. And I loved how they touched on the emotional and the personal story, like backstories of them, how we got to see like the outside of their arc of like being an Avenger and all of these kind of stories. But when the episode finished, as Millicent said, I think, you know, when WandaVision finished, like we were fulfilled with everything that we were given with the 28 minutes like span. But with this one, I was like, yes, I'm happy what you're showing me, but this is not enough. But actually, when I watched it twice, like for the second time, the first episode, I was like, no, oh my God, there's so much here to be unpacked and be like, all of the Easter eggs, the references, there's so much to be unpacked here. I loved it after the second time, even much more. And the second episode was like great. Like throughout the whole episode, I was laughing nonstop. My jaw dropped a couple of scenes, and there was like a lot of emotional and traumatic scenes as well.
Okay, as for me, when I watch, like Millicent say, we were done with WandaVision. So it was this big old thing. We spent like a few weeks, everybody was talking about it, and it was going up and down. Then the big old finale. That I forgot that it was a new show. I forgot that this was the first episode of a new show that was expected like bam again, like it's about to go crazy. So I put the show on, and it was like this long fight scene, which was cool. It was like, for me, it was like a little too long. I was like, okay, this is like a pilot. I need to remind myself that this is a brand like this is the beginning of a new story. So when I was the first episode, I was not fulfilled. Like I feel like I ate a meal, but it wasn't like full. Then when I watched the second episode, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a good show. This is gonna be a great show. I was like, okay, this is Marvel. I need to remind myself that WandaVision, the first 2 episodes were also slow a little bit. It was cool because it was in black and white, but it was a little slow. You didn't expect it to go all the way. So I'm trusting them. But when I watched the second episode, make me like the first episode better because it reminded me that, oh yeah, this is a new start, a new show.
I actually want to say something about like the opening scene on the first episode. I don't think there's any negative sides of like But let's not forget that actually Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to come out before WandaVision. And you know that opening scene, that action sequence, like it was top notch. Like it was a cinematic experience. Like watching, I like, oh my god, is this TV? So I think if Falcon and Winter Soldier came out first, I don't think we would have had that feeling of comparing it to WandaVision. But WandaVision was so grounded and like connected to human emotions. Like we were so much craving that kind of emotions too. But when you get into that action scene, as much as it was so perfect and great, we were like, no, we want to see much more of the characters, like their core.
Definitely. I had the same feeling. Do you guys I like what you said, that you didn't see a lot of people talk about it. Do you guys think that we didn't get as much advertisement that WandaVision had? Like for me, I don't know if you guys have the same feeling. I want to know what you guys think.
Yeah, I think the level of hype, maybe because of the short time between WandaVision ending and Falcon and Winter Soldier starting, it didn't feel as much time to kind of build that. But WandaVision maybe built it for like a month or so before the first episode. But now it was like 2-3 weeks max. Yeah. And also with WandaVision, I think it was so intriguing because obviously Vision's dead. So it was kind of like, so what's going to happen here? Like it was very much, there was more mystery with that. Whereas Falcon and Winter Soldier, obviously we know they're fine. We're just kind of seeing their lives, like how they're going now after Endgame. So it's like, there's not as much mystery just yet, I think. Yeah. But I guess they're setting that up now with the introduction of, you know, who I'll wait to mention till the spoiler bit. But yeah, exactly. I don't know.
I think it did get actually promotions and advertisements, but I think it was like for the past, like the last 2 episodes of WandaVision, we started to get like promotions for Falcon and Winter Soldier, but we were too invested in WandaVision. I don't like it overshadowed Falcon and Winter Soldier. I mean, personally, let me speak for myself. I have heard people like speaking like, oh my god, we were not that much hyped for WandaVision, but like it exceeds our expectations from the first moment. Like I love Wanda and I was so excited for WandaVision. But Falcon and Soldier, especially as like, let me tell you this, there's no single character in MCU that I don't love. So of course I was like looking forward to Falcon and Winter Soldier, but within the MCU, like right now, before watching the first episodes, them coming out, I am so much more excited for Loki. Like it doesn't even need a single advertisement, a poster, a CD, and I'm already too much invested in it. But this one, Falcon, I think it needed a little bit more of advertisement to get people into it. But without that, I don't think they needed it since it broke Disney's record.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. That surprised me actually when I saw that. I was like, I haven't heard many people speaking about it. But like, and seriously, another thing though I think was really interesting was like, I don't know, because when I think about WandaVision, I know we keep comparing the two, but when I think about WandaVision and stuff, it's like very exciting to think about the multiverse and this kind of like magic and how they're going to bring Doctor Strange and how they're going to bring Spider-Man and all these things. But with Falcon and Winter Soldier, as much as I love them, it's very much like, okay, back to like government kind of cold grey walls. It's a bit less exciting. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, obviously Doctor Strange not going to show up in a portal in this one. It's just going to be like guns and hallways and stuff.
Oh, I love the Doctor Strange. Oh my! Are we going into the? Let's get in the spoilery.
You guys are ready to get.
Let's just do it.
Remind them.
Yeah, I just want to say something. First, I saw your Spider-Man T-shirt. That's nice.
Yes.
Cool.
I think it's the Amazing Spider-Man. Actually, I found it in a charity shop.
This is nice, but for me, like before we get into spoiler free, a lot of my friends didn't know. I mean, the people that don't watch the MCU are not like up to date, like people on Twitter didn't know the show was coming on like a day before, maybe like a week before max. But WandaVision, you were going on the street, you see posters everywhere. I saw my first poster of the Falcon Winter Soldier today, and I was like, where is it at? You know, and I saw on Tumblr the video we made with Julian is the one that everybody pushing. And I'm like, but where's the other videos? But I know Marvel's gonna, because they're great with advertisements, they're gonna like pick it up. But I feel like we didn't have enough time because I don't think they expected the finale of WandaVision to be that great. But we saw that they broke record. I was like, what? I was like, okay. I was like, I love this, but I didn't see it. But I hope that a lot more people are gonna catch on to it. But let's go. Hey, if you haven't watched the episode, this is getting to the spoiler zone, okay? So stop what you're doing. Go watch episode 1, episode 2. But now we're gonna spoil, okay? And if you want a spoil wizards, comment what you guys think. We'll read it after the live. So let's go to the
And don't worry, we have got you covered. If you have not watched it, you can come back and listen to our podcast on all major podcasting platforms. So you can go now. Yeah. Don't listen to the spoiler.
Hey, let's go. Spoilers. Let's go.
Let's start. Yeah.
I'm so ready. I fully have notes. Like.
Okay. So let's start with episode 2. Like the opening scene, it's like we get a perspective of John Walker. I'm never going to call him, that name. He's not because. So we get his perspective. What was your opinions about him? No, so let's start with you.
Okay, yeah, I hate him so much. I could kind of tell with that scene that you mentioned, in the locker room and his friends come in and you see like the photos and it's like, oh, we're supposed to be like, oh, he's really nervous and it's a really big deal for him. And I'm like, I couldn't care less. Like, you are dancing on his grave. I am, excuse me, I just swallowed a little bit of air then. I think the Good Morning America, excuse me.
I have what
yeah, the whole. Yeah, I'm fully just like, I got so excited. I was like swallowing air. No, yeah, so when he came out into the stadium and it was Good Morning America and it was his high school and stuff, it was very much like, okay, so now it's like everything Steve was against. It's like a government-funded soldier, basically, and they can control him however they want and they can market him however they want. And I know that's kind of how he started in the 40s with the tour. And even the riff on that Star Spangled Man theme, I was just like, I feel so unsettled right now. I'm not vibing. And then I guess in the first episode, we remained open-minded. It was like, okay, what's he gonna be like? But throughout the entirety of episode 2, I just got like more and more angry at him. So yeah, not a fan.
Me, when I saw him at the end of episode 1, I was like, this guy is racist.
Yeah, he looks like a Trump
all
supporter.
of the memes on internet. That's the
I know, yeah. I was laughing. I was like, he's a redneck Captain America, and then I saw that Marvel trying to take that away from us. Like the first 2 friends that he had this black woman, and then his best friend, a black guy. I was like, okay, just because he talks to black people, I don't think you think we're gonna be like, oh, he's so great. And I was like, okay. Then I saw that he wasn't as bad as I expected. At first, the first 5 seconds, I was like, oh, he's really, you don't want to be called Steve. You don't. So I tweeted something like, oh, I kind of like this Captain America. And then 2 minutes later.
I saw your tweet, Kirk.
I saw, yeah.
Yeah. And 2 minutes later, I was like, never mind. I was like, this guy is not the guy. I thought, because at first I thought like, okay, they choose him and he's not his fault. You have this big shoes that you have to fill. And I was like, no, he's still putting on the costume. He still have the shield. And I felt so bad for Bucky and Sam. I was like, he doesn't know everything Captain went through, You said like, oh, I follow his battles, but you never knew him. So I was like, I'm not feeling this dude.
Yeah, the most annoying thing about it for me at that moment, like you said, they asked him to be Captain America and he had to fill those shoes, was that like Captain America chose Sam, and Sam thought, no one should, like, we don't need another person to take this mantle. We just need new types of heroes going forward. So he handed it in. And then when they decided to bring back a Captain America, they didn't think, we'll call Sam. They were like, we'll just pick another white guy from the army. I was like, Sam was right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that really annoyed me.
Yeah,
okay, so let me say, well, like the ending of episode 1, I don't even know how to talk right now. Okay, I am so, like, the ending of first episode, I was like, are you serious? Oh my God, you cannot be like, how is this even possible? So like we get to the opening of episode 2. So I think Marvel is trying to show us that like they're trying to redeem him in a way that like it's not his choice. Like we shouldn't hate the character itself, but why like the choice of the government that they have been putting someone within his shoes, like Steve's shoes. But at the same time, you know that feeling like they're trying to use the IP of Captain America. They're not thinking about like Steve's personality. Like that's what's bothering us. And let's get to that part of it, which like, oh my God, like Bucky's facial expression when he sees him on TV, like that, it explains and tells a lot, like without saying a single word.
Mm.
No, I love his apartment. It was empty, he was sitting on the floor. Like
It was really like, man, you live like this.
Yeah, this is right now happening.
Yeah, that was crazy that Sam. I felt bad for Sam first, not just not Bucky, because I know that they called Sam to give him the shield, like, oh, this belongs in the museum, and the next day I felt like he gave it away, like, so easy. The next day I was like, oh, we give it to somebody else. But when Bucky saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that's his friend. I was like, I forgot a little bit the fact that it's the Winter Soldier, that's his friend first. I was like, I like that they show like how he's feeling, you know, seeing that on TV. That was interesting to see.
I can like totally see how the character is written for Sam Wilson, and it's like totally understandable. Like you can get Sam why he gave back the shield. It's like I love how like Malcolm Spellman and like the directors, all of them, how they shape the characters and the storyline for this show. It is amazing how many things they have like integrated within the MCU to use their platform for so many issues. And by the way, before getting into that part, I want to clear something. I'm so afraid for the actor White Russell, who's playing, you know, John Walker. I don't want it to become like, you know, the actors who were in Star Wars and got so much hate.
Yeah.
I appreciate how like what an amazing actor he is. Like you can feel it. Like if he wasn't that great, we wouldn't feel that much hate towards him. So the actor White Russell is amazing. I love his take on the character and how he has taken it. So we love him in MCU.
Yeah, we like if he wasn't in the episode, we'd have nothing to talk about. So like he's great in the role. Yeah. Nothing against Wyatt Russell. He is fantastic with what he's got, like the script, like he's putting all these mannerisms in it where you can kind of see how he's trying to copy Steve, but also like assert his ground. And it's like he's great in the role. We just don't like John. And I think that's the way it's supposed to be. You know, we've got an antagonist, a protagonist, so don't send any hate to Wyatt on the internet, please.
Yeah. Hey. No hate. Hey, Marvel fans, no, don't do King Joffrey to him, okay? He's just a good actor too.
Yeah.
No. I mean, let's be honest. Like Marvel fans are the most positive and accepting fans out there within all of the fandoms.
Gang, and I'm glad. Let's continue.
So we in the second episode we get the first interaction of Bucky and Sam, the bromance. Finally, we get to see them like in the same scenes and screen.
What did you think?
Your take on
it? I think maybe for me, maybe that was why it's kind of episode 1 was a bit a slow start, because obviously we never even saw them together, but now they're together, the energy's there. It's like, right, let's get going. We've established where everyone's at. But oh my God, yeah, their chemistry is fantastic. But also, I know they're never, ever going to do this. It's like Finn and Poe in Star Wars. They're just never going to do it, but we can pretend that they are. And to me, they are madly in love. Did you know that scene where they're like rolling down in the field and then they land and he doesn't move away. And I'm like, Anakin and Padme, literally Anakin and Padme. My friends were sending me voice notes, like reacting to the episode. And she just sent me a voice note like, Disney, give me a gay. Look at them, they're cuddling. Like, oh, they're cuddling.
I was like,
so adorable. I swear they're so funny. I couldn't stop. It's like with every sentence is like they're like going back and forth in between each other. It's so funny. I just love it. Like seeing them on screen together.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. That it felt like a Rush Hour movie to me. Like the dynamic. I was like, it looked like an old couple. I love this. I love all the moments they have together. It's so like intense. You feel like you feel like the elephant in the room. You feel like, hey, you guys should be going out together. This was it was good to see them interact. When I saw Bucky, I was like, oh, where you been? You guys should be hanging out all the time because you have somebody in common.
We get so that like Bucky is not answering like Sam's text, like he's sending him text and he's not answering. That part is funny as well. So after like we all have that urge, like, Sam, why did you give back the shield? We all know why he did it, but still, like, you shouldn't have done that. And Bucky asks him that question. And after that, we get to the funny parts. like the big three. Like I love all of the dialogue in between them. I feel that's so funny. Like we get so many references from the Lord of the Ring, and then dropping Doctor Strange's name, and even like I think it's like mentioning Harry Potter. It's a wizard without a hat. It is so funny.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of the entire episode was learning that Bucky read The Lord of the Rings in 1937 when it first came out. I really want to know what he thinks of the films now. Imagine like waking up after however many years.
I know,
they made movies of that book that I read.
No, he must have the best experience. I'm trying to imagine him buying it when he came out. Like, oh, the one book of the Hobbit, please. I'm trying to imagine him being a fan of the book. That was funny.
Yeah.
So we get a parallel scene between like how Tony Stark and Captain America, like how he just like jumps out of the airplane and he like, what's your plan? You don't have a plan. It's just, I love it. And let's get into Falcons. We get a lot of much intel into like his tech and his suit. There's a lot of upgrades. Red Wing, what is your opinions about that? And we get also another information like the government Red Wing. Let's talk about that.
Okay, the whole government hacking into Red Wing thing, major red flags. I'm like, guys, it's just everything is owned by the government now, and I think that's obviously like a huge thing in Falcon Winter Soldier. And on one side of like my brain, I'm like, Sam, just give the suit back. Go get a suit from somewhere else. Call up Pepper, ask if he can use a lab or something. Like, don't even, after learning that they could hack into it that quickly, I just like ditch it on the side of the road. You know what I mean? But that's definitely like worrying for Sam, because obviously Sam's not, he is a government agent, I guess, and that he's sent on missions and stuff. But that alone kind of, after the Avengers and everything, I don't know. It just makes me a bit sad for him that that's his situation, because I'm sure Steve wouldn't want that for him. But yeah, his suit looks sick though. Like that first 10 minutes of episode 1, like you say, like I was like, dude, the budgets.
Yeah.
They did not held by anything.
Me, I liked it because when we see him fight in the other movies, I mean, he was cool because he was like Cap's buddy, but he wasn't that strong, and I kind of like it. I was like, oh, this is how Falcon should fight, like going fast, coming back ahead, like I feel like his wings were like fully functioning, like a different arm, like a Duck Arc in Spider-Man. They were like moving, like shielding him from the bullets and stuff. And I was like, this is cool. This is what I like about the Marvel shows, is that even though they're like side characters, you see them like stronger, you see them deeper, and I feel like when all the show's gonna come out, we're gonna care more about them than the main characters. They're gonna be like, hey, I'm the main character, I'm the main Avenger. It's gonna be awesome.
That is what is great about Marvel. Like we don't get every character fully prepared, fully powered. Like even for Wanda, for everyone, and for Spider-Man, even like a lot of people are saying, why are they making Tom Holland seem like he's just like a stupid kid that doesn't know to do anything? Like he's genius. Yeah, we all know that he's a genius, but still, you have to leave some room for development. If like with Falcon and Winter Soldier and Wanda, we have seen that, which is so great. Like you grow with them, you see their arc like expand.
Yeah, because like imagine if we'd have seen Wanda at full Scarlet Witch the first time we met her in Age of Ultron. Like it's like if you start at peak performance, I guess, like there's nowhere to go. You have to start like with the humble beginnings, and we have to see them at the beginning of their journey so we can, like you say, grow with them, see the development, go on the story with them. Because if we see them at the end of their story already, then what's the point, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's when Marvel gets in. That's like why they have so successful throughout the years.
They take their time.
They do. So did anyone of you like expect to like Bucky dropping the name White Wolf? All of the Black Panther, White Panther.
No, I didn't expect that. That was very dope, because I was wondering. I was like, is he never going to talk about his time in Wakanda? I want to know if and he did. He said White Wolf. I was like, hey, good.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's like, did he just say White Wolf right now? And someone's like, huh?
Do you think that's going to be like the name he goes by now, like officially?
I hope so. I hope so. You know, because like the Winter Soldier, like alias name is because of like that's what Hydra gave him. So maybe I hope so. What do you think?
I was like,
Yeah.
he shouldn't hold on to that name. I know we know him, but if he was like real stuff, he would have not liked to be called the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a Winter Soldier. White Wolf is a name that people gave me, like humans gave me, not the government.
And T'Challa gave him that name, right? So like that's even more a bit like
like
feels good.
A lot of meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Because even them like comparing powers, like I have a vibranium armor and I can fly. Who gives a shit?
That was so funny.
Until that point, like I was just laughing throughout every single scene.
Yeah,
like
I want
they're
more of that.
funny.
Mm.
I want more of that on the show. I want that like every 5 seconds.
Yeah, the chemistry is just unmatched.
And we did know that like their shooting shut down because of the pandemic, and like we get you. We saw what you did, Marvel. You know, trying to steal vaccines and medicine. You know, being in a pandemic. There's a reference to the real world as well.
Oh, can we talk about the fight scene?
Yes, let's get to that.
Which fight? On the trucks.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I was like, which one? Yeah, that was like amazing. And then when John Walker showed up and he was like, hey guys, like you need some backup, and it's like, who do you think you are? I'm sorry. I'm just so no, because when he said like, hey Sam, hey Bucky, and I'm like, who are you? You're not friends. Who are you calling Sam? Who are you calling Bucky? Like, that's Falcon to you.
I had the same reaction. First of all, the fight scene. I was like, "Yo, is this the Avenger 3?" I was like, "This is a real action sequence." I loved it. I loved the whole fighting scene. I liked when she break Red Windy, when she was like, Bucky was like, "Oh, I always wanted to do that." Yeah. The whole thing was funny. The fight was dope. But when John Walker came in and he was like, you could say Sam, but it was like Bucky. I was like, oh, hold up. You don't know him like that. I was like, oh, Bucky. I was like, that's not your friend, man. that was funny to me. But he was strong with that shield, though. I'll give him that.
Oh, yeah.
The moment that like John Walker and like his friend showed up, I had so many questions. Like I was like, first of all, how did you get here? Second of all, like how are you even operating outside of USA? I mean, like how did you even find them? And calling them, you know, as you guys mentioned, Bucky and Sam, like they know them for hundreds of years. I mean, like, oh my, just go away. Why are you here? Like, give us their moment, like Bucky and Sam together, but they have to ruin every scene.
Yeah. No, but that's true. I was like, why is Captain America there? This is they're in Germany, right? It was like, why are you there? This is you call Captain America. Why are you there?
Right?
I kind of get the vibe from that like moment forward as well. The way John talked to them and like the expectations he had of them was that they worked for him.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like
they want.
But this was the moment when I tweeted never mind, because the whole time I was like, okay, it's not his fault, you know, he's in the army following orders. And then when they went like getting and stuff like that, like, hey, who are you talking to? They saved you. You would be dead right now if they didn't fight Thanos. I was like, chill out, bro. You knew at this. So
can we take a moment to appreciate Kari Scotland, the director? And I'm so happy that Marvel gave this series, like this action-packed thriller, like, you know, policy, you know, Winter Soldier vibe to a woman, like a female director. I'm so happy. And she has been doing a great job throughout these 2 episodes. And I can't wait for the upcoming ones.
Nice. Is she doing the whole series?
Yeah, she's doing the whole series.
Brilliant. Can't wait.
This should have been done there.
What's next?
So we get to the part like after like all of them have super soldier serums that like what are they called? Red hands, flagships,
so
whatever
they are. Smashers.
Flag smashers, yeah. So they kick their ass and like they're all defeated. I mean, when like they're rolling in the grass, both of them. After that, we get like they're walking all, and then John Walker and his friend come, and what is his name? Hopkins? I have no.
Lamar? Is it Lamar? I think his name's. But then he introduced himself as Battlestar as well, and I was like, Battlestar.
Yeah,
a better name.
Bucky's reaction, like it was everyone, all of us.
Yeah.
No, I had to leave it because I thought that was something that mattered. I was like, I never heard of Bob. So I looked him up. I was like, oh, that's a real character. I thought that was a nickname he gave himself. I was like, okay, that'll be interesting.
This scene, there was like 2 lines when they're like chatting in the truck that like really stuck out to me that like again really annoyed me.
They were so annoying.
Yeah, that whole conversation was just like I was gritting my teeth the whole time. But when John says to Bucky, like, I'm just trying to be the best Captain America I can be, in my head I was like, well, the best Captain America you can be is none. Because like, why can't they, like, fair enough, you want another hero to represent America. Why do you have to just stick him in the same suit, give him the same shield, give him the same name? Like, leave that with Steve.
Yeah.
Like, have some respect and grace and just get another name, get a different suit. Like, it's not hard.
Like, USA, like the government is going against Steve's wishes. Like,
exactly,
he wouldn't agree to that. Like, he wouldn't approve that.
And then there was a line he said after to like Bucky, like, I just want to be the best Captain America can be, and it would be so much easier with like Captain's wingman by my side.
Yeah,
and I was like, so you think Bucky's just like this little extra helping hand that gets passed from Captain America to Captain America and not like his own person? Like, get it? You've got a wingman. You've got a best friend sat right next to you. Like, man, because I felt like that was him trying to validate himself as the new kind of Steve Rogers. And I know he wasn't trying to be Steve or whatever, but he basically is. And it was just like this whole obnoxious vibe in that entire conversation. It was really uncomfortable.
For me, like the only funny part about the whole scene is that, as I said, a lot of stupid stuff that could annoy them. But the thing that I know Bucky was his superhero name. I was like, what? I stopped the car. That was funny. Yeah, you heard the name. I was like, okay, that's so enough.
Good.
I'm done with this.
His face, like the entire time he was talking, Bucky's face was just so funny.
Yeah, the stirring, like, everyone's saying, is he like stirring all the time? Like his facial, it tells like it's Bucky is all of us watching this series after like the ending of first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man,
so let's get after that scene, which they get off the car, which I'm so glad. I did not expect we cut to a new scene, which going within the street, Falcon meets that kid, and that kid calls him Black Falcon, which the exchange between them is just so heart touching, and it's important that we know Marvel is integrating this kind of stuff. Kirk, your take?
Yeah, because for me, what I like about this is that, okay, we see WandaVision, we see Marvel with the sorcerer side of Marvel, we see magic side of Marvel, and we see when you watch Avenger, you go magical, you go crazy, and then with the Falcon Winter Soldier, what I expect them to do is like how are they gonna interest us, because now it's like grounded, like you said, it's like guns, shooting, and all the new fans that came in watching WandaVision, they went in because the show was all crazy. It was like, it was in black and white, it changed every week, it was a new show type of like, but for me it was like, how are they gonna keep people interested on the show with just normal people? And I was like, with this, we're talking with like issues that's happening now, that's how we can get people excited again. And I was very happy that they did it. I didn't want it to be like cliche, like, oh, being racist is bad. I was like, we don't need that. Okay, we get it. This is not, especially not a show like Marvel. We don't expect a show like Marvel to change the whole thing, but like little stuff like this, like, oh, this is Black Falcon from a black kid. I was like, that's funny, because we say that sometimes, black people say that to each other sometimes, and it was good to see that on the show. I was like, okay, this is nice that they're touching it like that. I love we're gonna get into it, the part with the police officer, but I was like, okay, if they like touch this on this show, I think that's a good way, for Marvel to put his hands into this problem, trying to help a little bit, and that's good to show that they know what's going on, and even whether it's a superhero show or not, we can tackle issues through our shows, and that was dope. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I really like that. Sorry, you go, Angie.
No, I was gonna give us what was like your opinion and reaction to that scene.
I just started anyway. Yeah, I really liked that scene, and like you say, the kind of addressing black issues with the police car scene as well. I kind of expected, I worry with Disney properties and stuff, like if it's going to feel really forced, like, oh, people are talking about Black Lives Matter, we need to put a Black Lives Matter scene in here. But with the police car moment, I immediately thought, okay, that's where we're going to go. It's going to feel very of the moment kind of thing. But then when they kind of flipped it around and it didn't last too long and it didn't escalate too much that it felt that way, and then they arrested Bucky, I feel like it was handled quite well in that sense that like they didn't actually arrest him. They just kind of spoke to him in a certain way, and then they arrested Bucky at the end of it. I was like, the fact that they didn't escalate it to a certain extent or kind of go any further than that short moment, I think was kind of handled really well. Obviously, coming from me, I can't say whether that was handled well or not, but like I felt in that moment that it didn't feel as forced as it could have been. Yeah, I liked it.
I mean, before even getting to that, which was powerful, I want to say, I mean, I'm gonna go last. Let's, Kirk, start with you. I was so emotional at that, like Isaiah, when Bucky said, there's someone that I need you to meet and introduce you to him. Like, what was your reaction when you saw that scene? It was so emotional for me, at least.
For me, I didn't expect them. Oh no, you said me or Millicent? Me?
You.
I said you.
I didn't want to cut you again. I was like, we too polite. Me, I didn't expect them. I thought it was about to be a young guy again that had the same like backstory as Bucky. I was preparing that, so when I saw this old man, I was like, why is Bucky knowing him? Like, from where? And then finding out that he's a super soldier, and then he kind of like helped, and then he went to jail for the same thing that Bucky did. Yeah, I was like, this is interesting that they're doing this. And then I had to do some research, find out it's actually in the comic. I thought like Marvel created that at first. I mean, the MCU, Disney Plus created this side of the story, but I was like, this is very interesting because I think just like celebrities, just like TikTokers, just like famous people, you have different privilege on those people. So I feel like if superheroes were real, there will still be that type of privilege, I think, going on. I feel like you'll have the lucky one, like, oh, we have the one black guy, that's part of the team. We have this woman that's part of the team, but a lot of those minority that will be helping will not be as recognized. And then we see even a moment of war, you have a lot of black soldiers that don't get recognized in the history books, whether it's in France, whether it's in America, whether in Africa, sometimes they don't get recognized as much. So I feel like it will be the same with superheroes. Like people that helped it, they wouldn't be as celebrated. So I was like, I really like that. But what I really liked was Sam's reaction. Because I was like, he should be, I didn't want him to just be like, so who was that? Like, no, I wanted him to be like, you should be like very invested in this. And he was. So I was like, I'm not saying, oh, this is so great, because we don't always want to see the bad side, but I was like, this is what we needed. That's good to have that on the show. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
go on. We're so polite.
No worries. I was gonna say, like, I got actually quite emotional at that scene when we meet Isaiah and the police like stopping them. At the same time, while being emotional, I was so proud of Marvel, because like we know that a lot of like grown-up people watch Marvel, but at the same time, there's a huge percentage of teenage, like the new generation that's gonna come up and love this series, and they take them as their idol. And I'm so happy that Marvel is, like, as you said, Millicent, they're not forcing it, but at the same time, there's a lot of underlying messages that's gonna be teaching people to show the reality of our world, which Marvel has been integrating into all of the other series, like movies, projects. And I'm so happy that they're using their platform to touch on these issues. Like I hope we get to see Isaiah again. I feel like we're going to, because there's a lot to be told there. But at the same time, like when the police stops them and like they just like they totally ignore Sam and they turn to Bucky and they're like, is this guy bothering you? It is, while it's so true, it happens in real life, at the same time it's just so frustrating. And like at that time they're arguing at the same time, but Bucky is saying like, do you know who this guy is? Like all of us just like sometimes, okay, finally someone speaks. And so yeah, listen, your take, and then we're gonna go to the, like, the therapy scene.
Yeah, I was really surprised when we met Isaiah, and I really liked it. And I did a bit of like Googling afterwards. And I think he went to jail, if I'm correct in the comics, because he went to like a battle or a mission or a war and used the mantle of Captain America, and they called it treason and locked him up, which I find really interesting because I'm like, even now, you know, whether it's conscious or not, there's still something blocking them from letting a black man be a Captain America. But the fact that, like you say, I think when you brought up the kind of like real wars in real life and the way that Black soldiers, Muslim soldiers, Asian soldiers, any minority that isn't like the classic white American or white British soldier and stuff, like, is completely erased from the history books and what we learn. Now we even learn that they were erased, and just like, you know, we don't care about your rights, but when we're going to war, we need to put you at the front because you don't matter as much. And the fact that even in superhero world, still the black soldiers are kind of and thrown under the bus, not in the same way the white ones are. And I find, I don't want to like praise corporations or anything, but I do kind of want to praise Marvel, and mainly Stan Lee, because he's written it through his comics from the very beginning. Like, obviously, like this, like you say, this character was in the comics. It wasn't made up now to address any issues. It's been there since Stan Lee wrote it, and Stan Lee clearly cared from the beginning to integrate all this kind of stuff. And it just made me think of him, and I really appreciated it. And his reaction as well, the fact that they let him have that space to be angry as he should be, like he raged, and when he threw that thing at the wall and we saw his like strength, I was like, go off. Like I don't think this is the last time we're going to see him, and seeing as though they showcase that he still had that strength, I would love to see him suit up and just like kick some butt.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I really liked it. And Sam's reaction, like you say, letting him react appropriately, the way he was so pissed. I was quite surprised by it, but I really appreciated it. It was a great moment.
It was. And I mean, thank you for bringing up Stan Lee. Like, I mean, Stan Lee, just like take a moment to appreciate his, like, this great work and piece of art that he has created throughout these years. Even Panther, when he wrote Black Panther in the 60s, I don't think, not even right now, but then it's so great to see how much like comic books were so ahead of their time. So Kirk, let's take us to the therapy scene. You know, Bucky getting arrested, and who sets him free?
I feel like, I mean, me and Jordan are gonna recreate the scene when you come back.
Oh, amazing!
I can't wait for that.
We're gonna redo the scene when he comes back, because he's away, by the way. That's why he's not here with us. He's working away for a few months, but he's gonna come right back in town, and we're gonna be going crazy because everybody's asking me like, why are you guys not doing anything? I was like, trust me.
We really do miss him, right? Yeah, tell him, like, come on.
I will definitely. But that scene was that's the show. Because there's some fans that love the show because of the action. Some people want to see what happened after the end game, but like 80% they want to see this. They just want to see them two being in therapy and solving the couples. I think that was the scene was funny. I like the arrangement. I love that was like a breather so for the show, so we could laugh a little bit and forget what the issue was the issue at stake. That was funny, but the serious part of that scene is what got my attention a lot. You know, I know we're going to talk about the funny part, but the serious part when Bucky is asking, I mean, when the woman asked Bucky, why are you upset with Sam? And then you tell him that's because he gave up the shield. Basically, that's the part that got me, because I was like, oh, I didn't expected Bucky to feel like that about Sam, that he's like the last hope of Steve. You know, he's Steve's legacy. You know, the shield is his legacy, and then I thought that was cool. That was interesting. But let's go back to the funny. What do you guys think of the scene?
Actually, I just want to touch on what you said about legacy. I know we're talking about funny, but like, that also really surprised me when that was Bucky's reasoning for his anger at Sam. And it made me think, because I know there was an interview or something recently that came out and people were speculating, like, at the end of Endgame when Steve gives Sam the shield and Bucky kind of just like nods and he's like, go ahead. It's like, has Steve had this conversation with Sam Bucky? Like, has he told him he's going to give it to Sam? And of course he had. So I was thinking this whole time, like, Bucky and Steve probably talked about this so much, like how much faith they had in Sam to lead the kind of next generation of Avengers or heroes, or just like lead us into a better future. and to see him throw it away, but not even have Steve to turn to talk about it. And he's just on his own. And he's like, me and Steve chose this for you. Like we this is what we expected of you. And I was just thinking about that and how he didn't even have Steve in that moment to kind of talk about it with. And it was all just inside him, like watching Sam kind of throw this away was really like, yeah, it was really good. But it was also hilarious, that scene. And I love when they got their like knees locked in together and he was like closer and he was like, come on closer. Yeah, again, just their chemistry, like their jokes back and forth, the timing, it's just perfect. And I'm really excited to see more of them together for sure.
Yeah, me too, definitely.
I mean, they really are so funny together. Like that whole scene, like they're locking their legs and like, the staring contest and the doctor, like the three guys, like children, kids, what are you doing?
She's
and
like,
at the same time, I didn't expect that question, but it was so touching when that two sentences when Sam said, like, Steve would understand why I gave that shield to the government. And we know the reason, but they wouldn't even understand because that's how deep it is for him. At the same time, like Bucky's saying that if like he's wrong about you, he's wrong about me too. Like the emotions within their eyes, you can feel it, how deep it is. I mean, it is like at the same. I mean, how Marvel pulls these scenes, like the being funny at the same time, like feeling so many emotions. There's so much like meaning and indirect messages like directed at us.
Definitely.
So yeah, we're getting to the last scene. Let's get, when they say we need someone who knows everything of Hydra and they drop the name.
Oh yeah.
And I was expecting that. I don't think we were because the trailers gave it like, still we don't know, of course, but the trailers like misled us.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be the villain of the series. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how they possibly work together, I guess.
Me too. I was like, okay. I was like, what? Why is it brought up now? Like this way? Because for me, it was like, okay, they're going to bring him in. And when I saw the team going to hide at somebody's house, I thought he was about to be the one to open the layer. Like, oh, welcome my people. I was like, oh no. I was like, oh, it's going to be on their side. I was like, okay. We want to be super. Because I said at the end of WandaVision, I'm not going to have any more expectation because we'll expect some people to come back and this and that. And this. That's a surprise. You can always betray them, but that's a surprise I didn't expect them at so far right now. So that was very interesting.
It felt kind of like the X-Men going to Magneto for help or something, like visiting him in prison because they just need something from him. But then I feel like obviously he's going to say, yes, let's do it, and then turn on them somehow. But I really liked Zemo as a villain in Civil War's my favorite Marvel movie. And I think the fact that he's like a regular human and he managed what he did is just so incredible. And also his reasoning and all the reasoning of like recent Marvel villains in general over the past maybe 5 or 6 years, the fact that it's just because the whole superheroes, not cleaning up after themselves, I guess is one way to put it, or just like not understanding what they leave behind when they go off and save the world and bringing it down, like really grounded, almost like the politics of heroism or vigilantism or something like that has been so interesting. So I'm really looking forward to seeing like what Zemo has become since his time in prison, how he feels now, obviously reuniting with the Winter Soldier and Bucky. Like, I wonder if those words still work on him even. Like, who knows, right?
No, definitely. That's why I was afraid of. I was like, what if you get there and just read the book now? Right? We need to
I feel like Zemo is gonna be maybe like, so it's just as like Kirk said, after WandaVision, we have just like, oh my god, given up on theories. Like all of these crazy theories running around during WandaVision. And I'm so happy, like they handled it so well. Like the ending, I was so satisfied. But coming to Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think Zemo might be the new Loki, like the anti-hero. So he is not a hero, of course, but I think he might end up helping Sam and Bucky because in the like he gives a couple of speeches within the trailers. I mean, is it to the flag? I still forget their names.
Flag Smashers.
Flag Smashers, yeah. Is it to them? Is he helping them? It is interesting because he's one of the greatest villains within the MCU. It's right up there with Loki, Thanos, and Zemo being with them.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll get onto the Flag Smashers a bit before the end, because I have some like thoughts about those guys. But obviously you've got a whole structure. I'll wait.
No,
Okay, we didn't talk about them. So what is your like opinions and takes on them? We didn't mention them a lot. Like like all of these people are like they have taken the super soldier serums. Like it is another like storyline how throughout the years after Steve, this has like moved on and like expanded throughout all of the other countries, not just US.
Yeah, well, the first thing I thought about them, the whole Flag Smasher thing, it's a bizarre name, but I don't know if you guys, I think it's a British slang thing, but over here, people who are like super patriotic and very like, they love the Queen, the UK can do no wrong, like nationalism basically. We call them flag shaggers because they just love Britain so much, and they have like the British flag on their Twitter profiles, and it's just like, oh, if someone comes out and they're being a bit racist online, it's just a flag shagger. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. So when I heard Flag Smasher, I was a bit like, what? But I'm really interested by this group of people because I think that I wrote down a line that Carly, I think their leader, said, where she says, like, we got a glimpse of how things could be, because they seem to be fighting for a really good cause, but obviously in a bad way. Terrorism, not good. But like their entire mission statement is quite interesting to me because the whole thing is they care more about the people that came back after the blip than they do about the people who stayed. And the whole glimpse of how it could be thing is, the communities that came about after the blip and kind of how there was obviously less people. It's basically what Thanos envisioned, wasn't it? Less people, more resources, like more for everyone. And I was really interested to see that was a thing. And it reminded me a lot of the pandemic because I kind of feel the same in the sense that right now we're getting a glimpse of how it could be. Everyone wants to go back to normal, but like that normal maybe isn't something we should want to go back to in the way that
that's what led us to the pandemic.
Yeah, and it's like there's like a hope at a future now that cares more about, the disadvantaged and underrepresented people, and like this whole work from home thing, like disabled people who were always rejected from jobs because they couldn't work from home, and now they're realizing that they can. And there's like communities coming together and caring about more neighbors and people making friends and small businesses, and there's just so much going on as a result of the pandemic that shows that there's something better that we can move towards out of the other end of this. And like that whole thing with the blip kind of being like that mediator as well, like seeing what could be. And now everything, I think they said everyone who was in power before the blip has come back and has just taken back that power. Like everything's just back to the way it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, that must be so infuriating from their point of view. And now I'm like, okay, so what's going to happen here? Like, I'm really intrigued, but just from that conversation she had.
I think there's a parallel between like Thanos's like reasoning and his goal and the Flag Smashers, because Thanos had a point, and these people like with the super soldier serums, they have a point, but I think their implementation and the way they like approach how to solve these kind of problems is the problematic type, like what that leads them to being the antagonists of the series or the world, like the MCU.
For me, I really wanted to see that approach, like how did the people live, during the blip and how they constructed, because we don't know if a president was out, we don't know if all of that was going on. I wonder, like, and I hope, especially since this show was supposed to be first, if we're gonna have like an episode or a long moment that shows us how the people were organized before, and so we can understand more their goal, and why they're doing this. And I feel like it's gonna be interesting, because if it's touching or if we agree with them, it's gonna be kind of like conflicting for us to see, like, okay, do we really want to see them lose, or how are they gonna find a solution? It was kind of, for me, like I felt bad a little bit for Zemo when I was watching Civil War, because I was like, yeah, but you guys have each other. He doesn't have anybody else. I know he's doing whatever, he's killing people, whatever, but if we go back to just him on his side, it's like he doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about Tony and all. He cares about his family and all these people that he saw dead. And I feel like it's the same for the people that was doing the blip, because they feel like like you said, the people in power coming back, that must be crazy. You spent 5 years finally getting a balance. Okay, we're gonna live like this, we're gonna do this, maybe change the stuff that wasn't, and then people come back and just take back the place, and That'd be awesome.
I know we're not talking about Civil War, but at the end of Civil War, the scene with Black Panther and Zemo, that conversation, I think, anchored the entire like thought process you just had there. Like anchored this entire feeling of like he was in the not in the right, but like he had points, like you say, Angie, but just the way he goes about them is wrong. And Black Panther's sympathy with him in that moment, I thought was stunning. And it made me think as well of like Killmonger, like everything Killmonger was fighting for, we wanted him to fight for. But it was also just the kind of what gets him from point A to point B isn't good. So I love those kind of villains in Marvel for sure. And the sympathy we're kind of seeing within the filmmaking itself is really interesting.
Definitely.
I agree. And I'm glad, like you mentioned, Kirk, that we're seeing the blip, how the blip affect the world. And after that, like we have 3 steps until now. And we have seen with Far From Home, WandaVision, and now Falcon and Winter Soldier, like they're showing us the real world, like within the people, how the daily lives is. And I feel like they're gonna continue to touch upon this, which is important. I'm glad they're not just focusing on the all of the fight sequences and the sci-fi outfit, outer world, the galaxy. I'm so happy that we're seeing the daily lives too. We are seeing the effects because we can actually connect to the storylines much more that way.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's a big part of the storyline. So I was like, you cannot just say 5 years and then just go on and like nothing happened. You want to see.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, that's why I was so excited when Monica came back. When we saw her come, I was like, yes, finally, they're showing what's happening. And I hope we see it outside of Earth because it's supposed to be happening everywhere at the same time. So
yeah,
I'd like to see that. So yeah.
And saying outside of like the galaxy, I'm sure like Captain Marvel 2 is gonna be spectacular because there's so much hype about it. Like all of these build-ups, these characters. I can't wait for it, and I'm sure that we are gonna see a glimpse of that too in there.
I hope in Guardians of the Galaxy also we're gonna see it. But ladies, we're arriving to the end of the show. All right, I want to ask you one last question. What do you guys hope to see or want to see in the show? What do you guys expect from the show from now on? We're gonna start with our guest, Millicent. What do you think? What do you want?
I'm trying to have no expectations, like you say. Also, like I said at the beginning, like Falcon Winter Soldier in general is kind of my blind spot. It's not something I've invested as much time into within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'm very just open-minded. I'm like, wherever it takes me, I'm there. And I kind of hope, like you say, the whole Zemo, like I guess I did predict that he would help them for a bit and then turn on them and, classic kind of thing. But I think what I'd really like to see and what would be really interesting if Zemo teams up with them and remains teamed up with them. Not an Avenger, but like he joins the good side, I guess. And I think that could be really interesting. But with the kind of like creepy mask vibe he's got going on in his poster, I don't know if that's going to happen.
That would be awesome. What about you, Ange?
I mean, I think what I want more of within this series, we have 4 episodes left. I want like the bromance between, Sam and Bucky so much. It is so lovely to watch them together. At the same time, I do want the backstory that we got within the first episode, like Bucky's tragic past. It was quite heart touching, and at the same time, Sam, we saw like Avengers not being paid, even loans. That like I want to see that part of their life as well. So I'm looking forward to that as well because I'm sure the action scenes are just we are gonna get them.
Yeah. The same for me. I really want to see I really want to see Bucky deal with his trauma because we have we haven't seen him for more than 5 movies, and then we have this show now. I want him like to go to the next level. Okay, now he's fixed, and we can go forward. I don't want to see him in another movie being like, what am I? No, it's like it's only to be like dealt, with all the emotion that we need, and it's been dealt with. I want Sam to get the shield. Okay.
Yes.
And and I'm ready for 1 or 2 surprises. I'd love to have 1 or 2 surprises. That would be awesome. So yeah.
Do you know what would be a real surprise? If they let Bucky and Sam kiss. That's what I want.
Oh yeah.
That's what I would like.
It'll be trending everywhere.
Break the internet.
I think I'll be the best.
gonna be having theories, but I have high hopes for Marvel. Like until now, after 23 movies and one series, they have not disappointed us. So I'm looking forward to it. And like Fridays has been so much more fun with after like WandaVision and Disney Plus started with MCU.
Definitely. So, all right, guys, this is the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed this talk. We hope we're gonna see Millicent again. Okay, we need to see.
Okay.
Yeah, we want you back. It was so fun having you here.
Yeah, thank you so much. I had a really good time.
Thank you very much. And if you guys watching it live and you want to watch it again, you can watch it later on tonight or tomorrow at the latest on Spotify and all the major listening platform. I'm Kirk Deveyck, the president of All Marvel Fans. We have my main girl Angie over here and our guest Millicent. So if you guys can follow her everywhere. And we see you guys next Friday.
See you then.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, this is the end, okay?
Okay.
Okay, we're good. All right, 1 second. I want to check that it's over. Yes, it's good. How are you guys?
I'm good. That was really fun. It was a really good
Oh,
combo.
yes.
Yeah, I haven't had this flake.
You say what?
Thank you.